I'm hearing rumors that maybe another polar vortex is on its way. Well, if that's true, then we have enough advanced warning to prepare. Stay tuned, I'm going to show you tips and tricks that I personally use to prepare for this coming polar vortex. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I had some early experience with the polar vortex that we had set in the homestead. It was the year we moved over here on the farm once we bought it. The house wasn't quite put together. We were living in the fifth wheel, and boy was it cold. The old well house that you've seen here, it was oh yeah, it was so exposed to the cold that it burst some pipes inside the well house itself. And not only that, it broke all the pipes in my house that had water in them. So yeah, expensive. I had to go replumb the whole house, all the pipes that were underneath of it, and then repair the well house, in addition to building a new well house. So yeah, that was a brutal winter. It got down to, I think, 10 degrees below zero. To you guys who are living in the northern parts of the country, that's nothing, you say. It's just like, not to us. That's we're just not acclimated to those winters. But yeah, it hit us hard. So with that firsthand experience of dealing with it, when I'm getting wind that something's coming, going to go ahead and install a light in the well house. Now, I built the well house small for a reason. It is 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot high, and it allows for a sufficient space to accommodate all the components for the well inside, but it keeps the space small, so a regular heat lamp or incandescent bulb is suitable enough to be able to provide the heat to keep the pipes from freezing. So what I keep on hand is one of these clamp lights. These are very receptacles. These are very handy to have at such a time as this. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, you can use either an infrared heat lamp, an incandescent bulb which puts out heat, or you can use one of these non-lighting heating coils that I sometimes use in my livestock pens to keep the water from freezing. These things are necessary for in livestock pens too, to safely use, so your animals can have thawed water. Now I have a safety outlet down here in which I can plug it into. It's got a CFGI circuit interrupt modem put on it, so in case water gets to it, it'll automatically shut off. But I'm going to plug the line inside of the well house. I got this short extension cord. I'm going to plug this into the extension cord, and I'm going to plug the light into this. This little outlet is rated, it's got a little thermal coupling in there. It'll come on when the temperature gets down to 35 degrees. So things freeze at 32 degrees. So it'll turn the power on, turn the light on at 35 degrees, heat it up to a set temperature. I don't know what the temperature is rated for on this, but once the temperature gets up to a certain level, it'll shut off. So you're not wasting a lot of power, and it doesn't stay on all the time and burn your bulb element. You do need to check on your bulbs daily during the winter months when it's really cold, because you're going to make sure that your bulb is not burnt out. Now, if the light, or if your power is off and you have no electricity, because sometimes in the winter months, in that cold of a snap, lines will snap, your power will go out. But so to save your well house from freezing, just take a hurricane lamp full of oil, set it safely in there, well protected, not near anything, and then the flame from from the heat will create heat in that environment and keep your environment in there from freezing up. And then make sure you check your oil first thing in the morning and then later in the day. It depends on how cold it is throughout the day. It might warm up a little bit. Watch your temperature. It's always helpful if you have a thermometer available too. So there's yet another thing that I do in preparing for the polar vortex. Now I've got my garden hoses servicing the different livestock pens, so I'm going to turn this off. Now this is a winter safe valve. It keeps, this valve actually goes through into the wall about a foot, and then the actual valve shuts the water off, so there's no water in here. So I disconnect the hose from here, let it drain, and open up the lower ends of the hoses also. And then I'll drain the water out of these hoses here and make sure there is no water which charges any of the hose lines. That way they won't freeze and I'll have open hoses. So when I can keep water access to the animal pen. So shut the valve off at the well and shut your water main off at the valve, the water that services the house. Go ahead and shut that water main valve off also. Prior to the temperature dropping severely. Make sure you have plenty of water stocked up inside the house for like flushing a toilet, a gallon, you know, save your milk cartons and fill them with water, and that way you have something to flush toilets with while you're going through this polar vortex. It shouldn't last too long, just long enough to make you miserable and break some pipes that are of those who are unprepared. Yeah. So drain your hoses and make sure they're all clear of water. That way you won't have frozen hoses and makes it a little bit harder to get water to the livestock. So now you got the water shut off to the house. So you, as an extra measure, go ahead and turn your water main off to the house. This is where my water main is. When I built my foundation, I turned the block sideways and created a hatch so I can remove that and reach my arm right in there and turn that water main off. Yeah, so now you have water that still charged the lines, so if that gets too cold under the house, your pipes will probably freeze and break, especially the copper piping that I have on my house. So when I reinstalled the piping some years back, I installed 2 drain points for the at 2 different ends of the house at the lowest points where the water pipes are. Hot water and cold water drain valves. I have one down here under the main bathroom, and then I have one down here in the carport. It's just right through this crawl space, and then right over here I can just pull the crawl space door and reach right in there and drain the waters out of the pipes that are under the house. So they'll just drain out both hot and cold water, and then all the pipes will be clear. Now we don't have any water in the pipes, so if it does get too cold under the house, it gets freezing, there won't be water to freeze in the pipes and burst pipes. So now I've mitigated a lot of damage to my water pipes just by doing that simple thing. And there's yet one more piece to the puzzle to mitigate damage. Remember how I just said that in case it gets too cold under the house and it'll freeze your pipes? Well, I come up with a solution. I've used it over the years since we've lived here, and I just took some plastic bags, kept my bread sacks and my plastic bags, and what I do is I fill a plastic bag full of plastic, ball it up, and stuff it in each hole of my foundation. The foundation vents, so now air can't get in, the cold air can't get in. I have it insulated, and it's free repurposed material, and you could save the bags for another day, but just don't let them be exposed to the sun too long, because the sun will just decay them to dust. Well, I hope these tips were helpful for you guys in trying to get prepared for the polar vortex and mitigate some of the damage this ice cold weather can cause. Yeah, a lot of extensive damage and expensive damage. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I want to thank you guys for joining me and tuning in and listening to some first-hand experience. Yeah, big fail that year. Please subscribe, then click that bell icon that alerts you to new videos as I upload them. Something else you could do is click that share button. Sharing my videos on your social media platforms helps get the word out to other people so they can mitigate the damage on their homesteads, farms, and rural areas, even in the urban areas, to keep their houses from freezing out of water. Yeah, a lot of damage. Please give us a thumbs up, like the show, and also leave a comment. Yep, I like reading your comments. Long rainy days, give me something to do. Be safe and always, please, be kind. We'll see you guys in the next adventure. Bye-bye.